Victoria Starmer, who some people rather erroneously referred to as the First Lady, is apparently appearing on the front page, or the front cover of Tatler, the posh people's magazine. But they've used a picture in which she was walking into an event on a red carpet with her husband, who happens to be the Prime Minister. He's been airbrushed out of it. If we can see the actual original picture as well, you can see that not only have they airbrushed him out of it, but they haven't done it very well, because her right arm appears to be completely and utterly missing.
The original photo shows the two of them walking into this event together.
Right.
And the front cover of Tatler, so she didn't pose for it, the front cover of Tatler, they're using this photo of her looking, you know, glamorous with a red lip.
Yeah.
And they've just got rid of the Prime Minister. He's that insignificant and unimportant or undesirable.
I mean, I put it out over the weekend and got loads and loads of interest in it. People were saying, I wish we could just airbrush him out of Downing Street so that he wouldn't actually be there when we come back from the Christmas and New Year holiday. It's amazing.
A similar kind of fashion plate was Samantha Cameron, and she had her own fashion line and all of that.
Right.
But she would be regularly pictured with the Prime Minister on her arm, showing off her fashion, kind of, you know, her beautiful dresses and things.
Exactly.
But they didn't airbrush Cameron out of it.
No.
It does come to something when you see how unwanted.
Tatler obviously not interested in him at all.
Well, no, but he would have damaged.
It's a bit of a champagne socialist magazine to be in, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Tatler is, you know, very much the posh people's magazine.
Absolutely.
You don't have copies of it lying around, you know, Communist Party HQ normally, do you?
You don't.
Unbelievable. Let's have a word about what's on the front page of the Express. Beware risks of weight loss drugs bought online. You wouldn't think that would be a story, but apparently in this day and age, people are so stupid that they're buying unregulated weight loss drugs from people they don't know on the internet.
It's a huge, huge problem.
How ridiculous is that?
So doctors, in their wisdom, have decided, huge amounts of people, you know, the health sector included, have decided the NHS is going to make hundreds of thousands of people eligible for these weight loss jabs, Wegovy, Mounjaro, Ozempic, all of these.
Yeah.
And yet, the NHS can't cope with demand, and they're not supplying them. So, I mean, a really, really large majority of people are buying them online without any kind of medical supervision, without any guarantee.
And they don't really know what they're buying.
They don't know what they're buying. There's no quality control. There's no safety guarantee. There's no monitoring or checks.
And presumably not cheap either.
No, they're not cheap. People are ending up in comas. People are actually going to lose their lives over this. It's totally unsafe. And that is without going into the whole mental health issue of young women buying them, very, very underweight young women buying them, and basically dying. This is such a massive problem.
And this is now, because it's such a big business, it's actually being run by criminals who are going to great lengths to make their online store look authentic. I always say this to people. They go, oh, but the thing is, you know, I didn't realise it was a scam because it looked so real. And you go, well, why do you think they'd scam you? They don't make it look like a scam, otherwise it wouldn't work.
Of course.
They make it look like it's an authentic place to buy whatever it is you think you're buying. You know, if you think you're buying an official, you know, marketed brand of something, but you haven't checked, you know, just don't buy it.
But you cannot blame people for this. They're desperate, they're worried, they're anxious, they want to lose weight. They're being told these jabs will make you magically lose weight. Of course they should.
Without trying to magically lose weight.
No, look, I'm very critical of these drugs, but I'm saying people are being told, miracle weight loss jab, inject this into you, totally unregulated, and you'll lose weight.
Right.
So they're buying this stuff, and they're going to get really sick. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be problems here.
Yeah, absolutely right. Good story in the Mail. They're calling it exclusive. Criminals trying to get back into prison, right? We know that this government likes letting people out of prison quite a lot. These are people from organised crime groups who actually want to get back into prison to work inside the prisons because they're so lucrative for distributing drugs. I mean, incredible, isn't it?
What's happened to our prisons? What's happened? Why are mobile phones and drugs and criminal gangs rife in our prisons?
People smoke in prison. You can smoke ganja. You can smoke spice.
You can get drugs. You can have quite a cushy lifestyle. You can watch telly.
People are having sex in them as well.
The guards are having sex with prisoners. I mean, this is an absolute joke.
Incredible. These are people who are applying for official jobs. 1 in 7 job applications for HM Prison and Probation Service were rejected after vetting checks last year.
What, found they were actually ex-cons?
Because they found they were actually ex-cons who wanted to try and get into the system.
Worse than a Timpson's key shop, isn't it?
I know. Absolutely incredible. Latest figures show that a record 193 prison staff were dismissed for misconduct in the 12 months to September.
And meanwhile, they're letting out the really dangerous people to go and abuse their partners and, you know, but to run rife on our streets.
Absolutely extraordinary stuff.
Who is the prisons minister? Who is in charge at the moment of...
I've no idea.
Is it Shabana Mahmood?
Oh, Shabana Mahmood, she's the Justice Minister.
She's Justice. She must be to do with this. I mean, who's behind all this?
Yeah, I don't know. But, I mean, they've lost control of the prisons a long time ago, to be fair.
Yeah.
But they haven't really got them back because nobody who's in government ever wants to build any new ones.
No, exactly.
And that is the problem. Let's talk a bit about Liam Payne, the One Direction star who died back in a couple of months ago in Argentina. Apparently there are now 5 people who have been charged in connection with his death. According to 2 of them have been remanded in custody. One of those charged is his friend Roger Norres, who said that he left the singer at the hotel about an hour before he fell to his death. Apparently he's been charged with negligent homicide. A waiter who admitted to using drugs, including cocaine, with him has also been charged with supplying drugs. And several other people as well have been charged along with that as well. Terribly tragic story.
Really sad, isn't it? And it does seem to be a lot of drugs involved. I mean, from, you know, unconfirmed reports, it seems that a lot of people were sort of helping, aiding and abetting. Of course, he was clearly, from photos and footage and things, clearly in a terrible state in those in that day leading up to this kind of terrible tragedy.
Just awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Morning, Mike says, Chris, I used to work for a fire service in the north of England. With regard to mental health, their strapline was, it's OK not to be OK. Well, guess what? Suddenly people were not OK by the dozens. Who could have imagined it? Well, that's the thing. If you say to people, look, if you don't really feel like coming to work, just don't. What do you think they're going to do?
But this is what I mean about this kind of softening of our culture. You know, you do need to also tell people, you know, once in a while you have a really bad day.
Yeah.
Bad days and good days are normal.
Right.
Once in a while you get dumped by your girlfriend and you're going to feel rubbish for a month or two.
Yeah.
You've still got to pull your bootstraps up and get into work.
Well, also, it's better for you. I mean, we talk to psychologists.
Because it's a distraction.
Yeah, but also we talk to psychologists all the time on this show and on other shows on this station. And the worst thing you can do if you're feeling...
is wallow.
Depressed is wallow and sit there and not talk to anybody and not go out.
If I don't work, I would be deeply depressed. Like, if I wasn't working, I would be depressed.
Yeah.
Even when you have time off, you sort of start to feel a bit aimless and a bit kind of existential about life. Right. What's the point of it all?
Yeah, what day is it?
What day is it?
I mean, last
it is
week,
weird that it's Monday today because everything is so closed and everything is so kind of shut down. But every proof has shown that work is good for you.
Absolutely right.
Physically good for you as well. Mentally good for you.
As well as
good for the economy. Good for your family life. Good for your relationships.
Yeah, exactly right. Now, one of the things you might not know, because you might not have seen it, but you can go and watch it now, or after this show is over, is Plank of the Year. Yeah, we do Plank of the Week every week, but we've done Plank of the Year. Here's a little clip from it. We have had strike after strike after strike. Yeah. The junior doctors have been on strike. The consultant doctors have been on strike.
And look at the pay rise.
And these are guys that are driving around in mostly Maseratis, Lamborghinis,
the good consultants have not been on strike. We have brilliant doctors. I know
we do have brilliant doctors, James. I know that, but we also have something called the BMA, the British Medical Association, which is
Can I just jump in with both of you and say, I mean, listen, mate, you know what I think of you, and of course you have that. What I think the real issue about the NHS is, not your opinion, just hear me out, is it's so revered. We need to knock it off its bloody pedestal.
Very true. Well said, Jeremy Carl. How about this from Nick, who says, welcome back, Mike. We missed you. Bridget Phillipson is symptomatic of all that is wrong with the Labour front bench. Since leaving Oxford University, she has never had a proper job outside of politics. Never. No. And this is a big problem, isn't it, for the so-called, you know, cabinet that we have, because none of them have got any experience of any kind of industry or any kind of, you know, sort of entrepreneurial situation.
Exactly. And then you have Rachel Reeves, who, you know, worked in customer service and claiming to be a top economist at the Bank of England and other top banks.
Look how well that's going.
Absolute nonsense.
I mean, absolutely incredible stuff. Let's go back once again to the migrant situation. The Home Office, as we said earlier, spent £15 million on some new satellite equipment, which apparently is going to track them so that we know what's going on. But also 3 more dead in the Channel, a story on page 8 of the Mail yesterday. You know, yet more people coming. More people came on Christmas Day, I think, than any other day of December so far. And it's just extraordinary, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think migrant crossing, I think it's 150,000 since 2018. We've got a real problem, and all we've heard, in fact, he's gone a bit quiet, but Keir Starmer's just keep on repeating this mantra about smashing the gangs.
Yeah.
And do you remember he held a press conference to say that he'd found
they'd arrested some Kurdish guy. Kurdish guy
who did the valves in the dinghies or something, and that was going to be the key to it all.
Yes.
Well, what's happened there?
Yeah.
I mean, how is that smashing the gangs?
Well, he hasn't smashed the gangs,
People can see them coming over. We don't need sat-nav. We can see them. We could probably use my 4-year-old's binoculars, little thingies to just look out of the, I don't know, look across the channel.
Yeah, look
and see
over
them.
there.
I can see them. They're getting in boats, presumably in France, and they're coming over. What is the plan?
I know.
Where are they coming from?
There isn't one.
Stop them earlier. Don't let them get in their boats. Turn the boats back. Any of those options might work.
Yeah.
I don't see that £15 million, this is good money thrown after bad.
Tracking them by satellite.
And then when they arrive here, did you see that story in the Sunday papers yesterday about the Albanian smugglers who are advertising package deals? You come to this country, it's £2.5 grand, you get your fake passport, you get your accommodation, you get your travel over on a boat, and when you arrive...
Free moped.
Free moped. When you arrive, you also get a cash-in-hand job on the black market.
Yeah.
It is absolutely appalling. This stuff is being advertised on social media. All the government need to do, forget the sat-nav, they need to start following up these things and saying, oh, hi.
Just go after the people putting the adverts out. It's not difficult, is it? Finally, Elon Musk, who's been making him quite a lot of hay while the sun's been shining over the course of the last few days and weeks. He's been having rows with all sorts of people, including some of the Make America Great Again people over in the States. But he's now said that very few businesses want to invest in Sir Keir Starmer's Britain. He's basically saying that Britain is now putting off wealth creators and nobody wants to come here and put any money into the country, which is what Starmer supposedly is all about.
It's what he's all about. It's not only that wealth creators don't want to come here and invest in our country, it's also that people like Charlie Mullins, you know, Pimlico Plumbers guy, people, millionaire, billionaires, are leaving this country because it's so unattractive to try and run businesses. Whatever you think about Elon Musk and his interference, and I'm uncomfortable with his interference in our sort of in UK politics.
Nobody seemed to mind when Bill Gates was interfering, though,
no,
did they?
I know, but I think that anyway, it's not his business, but anyway. But he is actually a billionaire. He is actually a potential investor. And what he thinks and what he says about investment and business, it does actually matter. And of course the Labour government will ignore what he says. But what he's saying...
investment summit and they didn't bother inviting him.
Didn't bother inviting the guy who actually runs... I mean, Scotland, I think, want Tesla to invest in Scotland.
Yeah, right. Well, he's the richest man in the world. He seems to know an awful lot about how to make successful companies work successfully.
Exactly, and we could do with some of that in Britain. He's very, very close to the next leader of the free world.
But we've now got Sir Keir Starmer going around asking regulatory bodies what we can do to boost the economy. So he's going to go to Ofcom and say, what do you think we should do about broadcasting? Or he's going to go to Ofwat and say, how do you think we can improve the water companies?
Absolutely ridiculous.
What are they going to tell him that's going to be of any use to man or beast?
They're the regulators. Look at how Ofwat have failed and failed and failed on sewage and, you know, floods and all of that, drainage in this country.
It's incredible.
An absolute joke. Meanwhile, Musk, who could actually invest in our country and could actually advise really helpfully the government and businesses, is being told, you know, well, we don't like you, get out.
No, you're the wrong kind of investor. Absolutely incredible stuff. Ridiculous, really, isn't it? And then, meanwhile, on the Shamima Begum front, a little update on that. According to her lawyer, her hopes of returning have been bolstered since the fall of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. We were actually hoping to speak to Alan Duncan, who's out there in Syria at some point this week. But around 100 extremists could return to Britain, it says, if jihadi bride Shamima Begum is allowed back from Syria. I don't think the government's got any real sort of thirst to bring her back, do you? Hopefully not.
I wouldn't be surprised. What this Labour government have done thus far, I would not be surprised if they let all of these people back.
Yeah. I mean, we've already read a few hundred of them back, but she's kind of the poster girl for it all, isn't she?
She is, and it would really take the biscuit if they let her back. But, I mean, honestly, nothing would surprise me now from Keir Starmer.
No, nothing would surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me if he gave away, you know, I don't know, the island.
The Falklands. The Gibraltar.
Well, yeah, he's going to do that.
The Isle of Wight. The Isle of Sheppey. I mean, there's a whole list. He could do it.